This is going to be the second in what I hope will be a long line of top 10 ranking albums. I did the Beach Boys a little earlier, and today I am going to do the Beatles. And to be fair, I'm actually cheating a little bit because the Beatles only had 12 studio albums, so I'm just going to do all 12. Doesn't make sense to leave, well, actually, they had 13 studio albums if you count Yellow Submarine. So I will do all of their studio albums rather than just leave 3 off. I'll do the whole list for this video. So number 13 is going to be Yellow Submarine, and if you have to ask why, you shouldn't have to ask why. And the only reason this is at the bottom is because side 2 is filled with George Martin instrumentals. I like a lot of what's on side 1. I like Only a Northern Song, which was originally recorded during the Sgt Pepper sessions. All Together Now is a pleasant enough song. My kids like that one. Hey Bulldog is a great track. Unfortunately, it just kind of got stuck on here. And It's All Too Much is a great George track. Another reason why this one ranks so low is because we got Yellow Submarine and All You Need Is Love, which were already issued on Magical Mystery Tour and Revolver. So, number 13. Number 12, With the Beatles. Not a bad album. If we're talking Meet the Beatles, this might be a little bit higher, but just not one of my favorites. There's no bad Beatle albums, but just in terms of one that I listen to the least, it's got to be With the Beatles. Won't Be Long is a great way to start off the album, although having listened to Meet the Beatles all my childhood, it was a little jarring to have that be the first track. All I've Got to Do is great. All My Loving. Unfortunately, I've heard that song so much. It's probably in my top 5 most overplayed Beatles songs. Hold Me Tight is great. Not a second time, but you know, again, not one of my favorites. I like Please Please Me a lot, but just in terms of everything that came afterwards, it's just got to go near the bottom. So this is going to be number 11. I Saw Her Standing There is great. I love Ask Me Why. Love Me Do is great. P.S. I Love You. Even this first album, I mean, it's so solid. Just the tracks that they had on here and the fact that this was their first album, pretty amazing. Number 10 is going to be A Hard Day's Night. Hard to fault an album with as many solid tracks as this one. Hard Day's Night, I should have known better. I mean, they just hit the ground running on here. If I Fell is one of my favorite all-time Beatle ballads. I'm Happy Just to Dance With You is a bit of filler. And I Love Her is great. Tell Me Why is decent enough. Can't Buy Me Love is great. All aside too, every single track is great, but my favorites are probably Things We Said Today, When I Get Home, and I'll Be Back. Can't Do That is great also. So just a fantastic album. The first album that they released that was all, their own compositions. So, just excellent. Number 9 is going to be Let It Be. And just always had a soft spot for this album. Just kind of the way that it's put together. You got the little snippets of studio chatter or outbursts from John. Two of Us, great. Dig a Pony. Across the Universe. I Me Mine. I love that segue from Dig It into Let It Be. And then you got Maggie May, which is almost like Her Majesty. I've Got a Feeling, just one of those solid. It's actually kind of, I feel like it's turned into a rock anthem almost because it's been covered by Pearl Jam and other artists. One After 909, which was a song that they resurrected from 1963, sounds great here. Long and Winding Road, which I know Paul wasn't happy with the version that was put out on this album, but I still think it's great. For You Blue, and then I actually like this version of Get Back better than the single version, even though I know it's essentially the same song. It's just the fade in and, the way this song ends is different, but, anyway, I like this album a lot. We are into number 8, gonna go with Help. Love it. Help, The Night Before, You've Got to Hide Your Love Away. Even the George songs on here I think are pretty awesome. I Need You and You Like Me Too Much is great. You got Yesterday on here. You know, even the covers, Act Naturally is great. Dizzy Miss Lizzie, love that a lot. I've Just Seen a Face, great track off here. So just really solid. And this is when they definitely stepped up their game. And, you know, they've been listening to a lot of Bob Dylan and soaking up some of the other influences that were on the radio at the time. So, and let's see, 7. Gonna go with Beatles For Sale. Always loved the Beatles 65 album growing up, and so this is sort of like the greatest hybrid between Beatles 65 and the Beatles 6 album, which I also loved a lot. You know, I know this ranks lower on some people's lists, but No Reply I think is great. I'm a Loser. I just love the whole of side 1. And then side 2, you got the best of what was on the Beatles 6 album. You know, love Words of Love, 8 Days a Week is terrific. Every Little Thing, I Don't Want to Spoil the Party, just an excellent, excellent song. And great Carl Perkins cover on here. Actually, 2 great Carl Perkins covers with Honey Don't and Everybody's Trying to Be My Baby. 6 is going to be Magical Mystery Tour. Just a great, great album. You got the soundtrack on side 1, Magical Mystery Tour, Fool on the Hill. Flying and Blue Jay Way are kind of throwaway for me, but I'm glad they're around. Your Mother Should Know. You know, almost another When I'm 64, kind of a vaudevillian, you know, nostalgic kind of a trip down memory lane for Paul. And I Am the Walrus, one of John's most solid tracks. And then the singles that they grouped here on side 2, Hello Goodbye, Strawberry Fields Forever, and Penny Lane, one of the greatest singles of all time. Baby You're a Rich Man is great, and All You Need Is Love. Great way to close out that album. And now we are into the top 5. Number 5 is Rubber Soul. I do actually prefer the American Rubber Soul, as blasphemous as maybe that sounds, but still just a great collection of songs. Drive My Car, Norwegian Wood, You Won't See Me, The Word, Michelle, I'm Looking Through You, excellent. In My Life, a classic. You know, If I Needed Someone, a great jangly guitar song from George. So just solid all the way through. Love that album. Number 4, and I know this might be on some people's number 1, but I'm going to go with Revolver. Just a great way to segue into Sgt Pepper. You got Taxman, George's first ever opening track on an album, and only ever opening track on an album, although Here Comes the Sun obviously starts off Abbey Road. Eleanor Rigby, a classic. Here, There, and Everywhere, which is very much influenced by the Beach Boys and Pet Sounds. She Said, She Said, a great John track. Good Day Sunshine, love that one. And Your Bird Can Sing, For No One, might be in my top 10 Beatles songs. Just always had a soft spot for that one. I Want to Tell You, Dr. Robert, Got to Get You Into My Life, and Tomorrow Never Knows. Just such a classic track and such a great progression for the Beatles here. Number 3, and I struggled with my top 3, I really did, because depending on my mood, any one of these could have been number 1, but just the way that I'm feeling right now and the way that I just kind of meditated over, you know, if I had to pick them in order, how would it go? And so number 3 is going to be Sgt. Pepper. Outstanding, outstanding album. Obviously, you know, I don't need to say much more about that. Just love the way it flows, the way they were all working together as a team in the studio. Just from Sgt. Pepper, you got your great John songs, Lucy in the Sky with Diamond being for the benefit of Mr. Kite. I know he kind of, you know, was not that high on Good Morning, but I love that track. I love the way that it just blends right into the Sgt. Pepper reprise, and then A Day in the Life. I love Paul's songs on here, Fixing a Hole, and even When I'm 64 is great. I love She's Leaving Home. Just a solid, even, you know, I've warmed so much to Within You, Without You. I love that track now. It always used to be the one you know, when I put the record on when I was younger, I'd immediately skip over Within You or Without You and put the needle right where When I'm 64 started. But I enjoy that track now. Maybe it's a function of age, I don't know. But so Sgt Pepper, number 3. Number 2, I'm gonna go with Abbey Road. This was a hard choice because I love this album so much, but my number 1, I just love that little bit much more. I mean, we got great John tracks on here, Come Together. I Want You, I think is such a heavy, great track. His contributions to the medley, Sun King, you know, Paul really at the top of his game here, Oh Darling. Okay, Maxwell Silverhammer, if you had to consider one track, maybe a throwaway track, you know, that might be it. Oh Darling is great, like I said. You Never Give Me Your Money. And then just the work Paul put into the medley at the very end, the Golden Slumbers medley, I think is fantastic. Even the Ringo track, Octopus's Garden, I find very much enjoyable. And George, at the top of his game, maybe the best 2 songs he ever wrote. Something and Here Comes the Sun. So just fantastic, and what a way for the Beatles to go out. Maybe the best way for the Beatles to go out. And then my number 1, you know what it is by now, even with the glare, it is the White Album. Always loved this album. This was my favorite Beatle album growing up, and even over time, I have to say there's not an album I find I enjoy listening to more than this. It is so eclectic. There's just so many different styles. The songwriting is so great. It's just everything I love about the Beatles. And I don't even say condensed, because if there's one word to describe this, it might be sprawling. But just love every single second of this. Even Revolution 9, I can listen to that now and kind of appreciate it for what it is. I won't say I listen to it a lot, but when I do, I don't skip over it like I used to. Just so much to enjoy. The remix that came out back in 2008 just really highlighted all the things that I loved about the album. Can't say enough about it. Not really a flawed track on here, although if I had one to get rid of, it would probably be Don't Pass Me By. But George's songs are all great on here. I would have loved to have seen him do Sour Milk Sea, but I came to just recently I was listening to the Savoy Truffle, and I feel like those songs are actually very similar. So I'm wondering if Savoy Truffle was actually sort of born out of the Sour Milk Sea track, because they do sound very similar, and almost if you just listen to the Savoy Truffle backing track, you can imagine him singing Sour Milk Sea over it and it fitting quite well. But nonetheless, While My Guitar Gently Weeps is a standout track back in the USSR. Glass Onion might be my favorite track on here. I don't know. I like Long, Long, Long. Great also. Birthday's fantastic. Your Blues. Just so many great tracks on here. So that is my number 1. And I'd love to know what your top 10 are. Or your top 13 if you choose to do every single Beatle album. Hope everybody is doing well, staying safe, and thanks for watching.